Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are starting your week off right. If everything goes right, you're seeing this on Monday. Starting a new project. This one's a little bit different. Not going to be a real long video, I don't think. Definitely just one video. I got a call from a lady that lives locally over in Kingman, a lady named Joanne, and we started talking about a sign that she wanted. Her husband actually made the sign as far as the board and wanted to know if I could carve it. It had a certain thing that she wanted carved in there. So here's what she came over and brought the board, and here's kind of what she wanted carved in it. This is just a little mock-up of on a piece of board that she wanted. This is very famous Tombstone, actual headstone in Tombstone, Arizona, and they're doing a little a backyard area that she wanted something like this carved that they could put in this little area. So her husband actually took a piece of plywood and cut the shape, and this is going to stick down into the ground, so this will be kind of ground level and that'll be sticking up. So I did the layout on it. That's how the layout came out. What I did was I took just a block letter. Actually, Vicky, did kind of the preliminary work on it, did the block letters, cut them out, did my layout, and this is a piece of looks like 5/8 plywood. And so you guys know that plywood isn't my favorite, and there are lots of issues with it, but the cool thing about this is she wants it really weathered, old, beat up, and looks like it's 100 years old. So that it is in that actually goes to my favor in the fact that it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, she wants it even as beat up as I can make it, kind of thing. So I showed her a picture of a distressed sign that I had made several years ago. And this is one that I made for a golf course that had a big, huge, deep bunker. And this is something that they put on posts, and that's what they named that bunker. So I showed her this just to give her an idea of if I don't sand all that black off, it kind of leaves that effect. She liked that. That's what I'm planning to do on this. And the neat thing is, if it's not distressed enough for her, then she's going to go ahead and distress it more. Beat it up with a hammer or drag it behind the car. I don't know, whatever. But if it turns out that my distress doesn't, because that's not really my thing. I don't do that too much. So she's the one that actually distressed this board by just putting some paint on there, so she can distress it however much she wants to after I get it done. So when we come back, we're going to jump right in, start carving this thing. It's all going to be inset black, and then we'll spray it, sand it off, and see how old we can make this thing look. We'll be right back. All right, guys, I've got the profile bit in, and I've got it set at about 1/8 of an inch. I'm not sure if that's the right depth or not, but we're going to find out pretty quickly. I'm going to do these small letters first. One of the things that I mentioned to Joanne, and this is just so you guys know, this is not super quality plywood. And again, being as it wants to be distressed looking, that's not really much of a factor. The only thing one of the things I'm concerned about is losing inside pieces like the middle of the 8, the O's, anything that's an inside piece. This may be chippy, I don't know. Every piece of wood is different. Plywood just tends to be somewhat chippy, so I'm going to try and be careful of that. But I told her that we may lose some of those inside pieces. Just don't know. We just have to try it and see. So here we go. Well, so far, that carved pretty nice. I didn't have any major problems with that. So here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to carve the rest of these small letters, probably these 3 lines off camera. Then I'm going to come back and we'll carve these bigger lines, these bigger letters. I'm really nervous about this big long thing in here. We'll see how that plays out. But anyway, so I'm going to do these little ones off camera, and then we'll be right back and do the big letters. Alright, so I got all of the small lines, letters done. Very happy with the way it's coming out so far. I'm not counting my chickens yet, because I've still got the big letters to do. But so far, I didn't lose anything on the small letters, and I'm really happy with the way it's carving. Carving very solid. No chipping so far at all. So let's get these big letters done. So we'll get going on those right now. And I think I'm going to set my router bit at about a little over 1/8 of an inch, and we'll try that. I started at 1/8 of an inch here, and then I backed it off a little bit because it was cutting just a hair too wide. So I backed it off a little bit. In fact, you can probably see the difference between these two. I think this is where I backed it off. But anyway, so now I've got a little over 1/8 of an inch because I'm doing these big letters. Here we go. So there we go. I got cocky and you saw that thing chipped off. So
I tried to zoom in too fast. It just went blurry.
So I got cocky and that thing chipped off, so I had to try and match that up. Still looks okay, but I think I am going to back that off just a little bit. I think I'm a little too deep on that. So I got to be careful here. Here we go. Let me explain something, guys. I found that as I was carving the top of these letters, all of a sudden the consistency of the resistance diminished greatly in this one area, and then I realized the reason is because there's a void that goes through the board. And let me turn this sideways so you can see. Hopefully, right in this area, where my
put it down just a little.
Yeah, right in this area, you can see that void, and my router, the tip of my router bit is going through and hitting that void, I believe. And actually, it looks like there's a little bit of an issue even on the other side. Going to the other side, if you look right here, right in this area, you can see it's where two pieces kind of come together. And that's one of the biggest things with plywood is this inconsistency, especially I think this is an exterior plywood, but I don't think it's a real super quality plywood. So that's the things that you kind of run into, is that you'll find inconsistency as far as the solidity of the wood from one area to another. So that brings up, that just gives it a little bit more complexity that you really have to kind of watch out for. All right, let's finish these letters up. guys, so yeah, this thing is I got a little too confident, a little too fast. This thing's really challenging. And Joanne, if you're listening, I should have tripled or quadrupled the price that I gave you. But I did this really. Normally when I do stuff like this, guys, it's more to help you guys, to give you guys some insights on what would be involved in carving something like this. But man, it's a challenge. I'm going to sharpen this bit again because it's dull. This will be the second time I've sharpened this bit just on this sign, because this plywood is really tough on the bits. I can already tell it's getting dull. So I'm going to touch it up one more time before I do these other letters. I'm going to do these off camera, and then when we come back, I'll go ahead and spray it off camera. When we come back, we'll sand it off and see what the end result is. We'll be right back. All right, folks, we're back, and we're ready to start doing some sanding. And I got to thinking about it. Because this is, again, different than what I normally do, and Joanne really wants this thing to look rustic and leave most of the black on there, I'm not going to use my disc sander. This thing is such a beast. It takes off so much black so fast that I think what I'm going to do is something a little bit different. I started thinking about it. I think I'm going to use, you guys know my random orbital. I almost always use just a 120 on this to give it a finished sand. But this takes off the black much slower than the disc sander. So I think I'm going to use an 80 grit on here and just see how I do. Again, this is something a little bit different than my norm. So let me get this sander put away here. I think I'm just going to go with an 80 grit with this random orbital, and just try not to overdo it. Again, it's not my norm, but I'm going to give it my best shot. So here we go. See, these are the kind of things that kind of drive me nuts, because I'm so used to everything being clean. This is just so different for me. But I think that's kind of what she's looking for. I really do. I think that I'm not gonna take off any more than that. This was a different grain over here, so it came off a little bit faster, and you can see all of the checks.
I'm going to zoom in.
Or the cracks or the checks over here just look a little bit different than over here, but that's plywood. That's just the way it is. So I think what I'm going to do is take a picture of it real quick, send over to her, and see what she thinks, and then probably go from there. So we'll be back in a minute, and we'll finish this thing up. All right, you guys, I just text Joanne a picture. She likes it, so I'm going with it. It is done. She's on her way to pick it up, actually, as we speak. So it was challenging. So anytime you're dealing with plywood, guys, it's so inconsistent, and you just have to be aware all the time. There's nothing about this that was easy from a carving standpoint. The layout was, the normal layout stuff, but the carving was tough. It was tough on the router bit, and it was very inconsistent from one spot to the next. So anyway, obviously, you can make signs out of plywood. You can absolutely do it. There are just issues that come up that aren't there with normal solid woods. But anyway, I'm happy with the way it came out. I'm happy she's happy. And so that is it for today. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We really appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions on this or anything else, be sure and email me directly, eric@makeawwoodsign.com. And if you need supplies, there's the website. And we will see you on the next one. Love you guys. Bye.